I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee, and not because of his movies, because I didn't particularly like his movies. His movies were okay, but I've seen a lot better actors and I've seen a lot better movies, and that includes martial arts movies. For instance, if you want to watch a dynamite martial art movies, and there's actually 5 of them, watch Rurouni Kenshin, especially Rurouni Kenshin the Beginning on Netflix. It's a dynamite movie. If you like action, if you like martial arts, if you like just a good movie, a good story, watch Rurouni Kenshin the Beginning on Netflix, because it is outstanding. And there's 5 movies in that series, and I have all 5 movies. I bought the DVD because it was that good, even though I can watch them on Netflix. But the reason I like Bruce Lee is because I like his training philosophy, his fighting philosophy. And Bruce Lee rejected ritualism and traditionalism. And he was criticized for this because he didn't follow the generation after generation teaching of flowery forms of Kung Fu. In the United States, they call it Kung Fu, which means special skill. But the Chinese call it Kung Fu, and there's many different styles, which includes Shaolin, which is the 5 animal system, and Choi Li Fut, and Hapgar, and Hungar, and on, because China has over 1 billion people and they have many, many different styles. And Bruce Lee was trained in Wing Chun, which is a defensive style, which was originally for women. But it uses a lot of checks and blocks and redirection moves. But Bruce Lee got away from it because he got into a fight with another martial artist, and the results were basically a stalemate. So he broke away from traditionalism and he sought what was effective, what worked. And Bruce Lee's famous saying was, take what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. Because Bruce Lee recognized that everyone is different. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses and limitations. So if you have a bad back or carpal tunnel syndrome or rotator cuff injury, then you need to adapt. And you need to do what is best for you, what is best suitable for you. If you're a woman, for example, and you lack the upper body strength of men, or maybe you have a height disadvantage, then use your legs, because the legs are longer than the arms. Attack the weaknesses, the vulnerable areas, like the knees, and the groin, and the solar plexus, and the throat, and the armpit, and the temple. And everyone has strengths and weaknesses. And there's an old saying in the martial arts that everyone is dangerous, yet everyone is vulnerable. It is the yin and yang of the martial arts. And the yin and yang is a symbol of 2 fishes chasing each other, a black fish chasing a white fish, and the black fish has a white eye and the white fish has a black eye. What the yin and yang symbol represents is that everything in the universe has an opposite. For instance, there is strength, and its opposite is weakness. But in strength there is weakness, and in weakness there is strength. Like an oak tree or a blade grass in a hurricane or a tornado, the oak tree will resist the wind and will be torn asunder because its strength was its weakness. and the blade of grass will yield to the wind, and when it passes, it will spring back up and resume its life, because its weakness was its strength. And the same thing is true when it comes to strength training methods. There is the best and there is the worst, but the best method can be the worst, and the worst can be the best. And the reason why is because even if you use the best exercises and the best training method, eventually your body will adapt and it will reach a state of accommodation in which the body will no longer increase the muscle size or the mitochondria or the bone density, because there's no need to. You can already handle the stress. As the old saying goes, if you keep doing what you did, you'll keep getting what you got. And accommodation will lead to stagnation, even if you use the best exercise and the optimal strength training method. So what you need to do is to change your exercises and change the strength training methods, because if you don't, the best you can hope for is to maintain your current state of fitness. This is my copy of Louis Simmons' Westside Barbell Book of Methods. And Louis Simmons, in my estimation, was the Bruce Lee of powerlifting. Because like Bruce Lee, Louis Simmons didn't care what was traditional, what everybody else was doing. What Louis Simmons cared about was what worked, what was effective, what would make him stronger. Louis Simmons took the Soviet training methods for Olympic weightlifting and he adapted them to powerlifting, which is a completely different sport. Olympic weightlifting uses different types of lifts, like the snatch and the clean and jerk, where powerlifting does bench presses, deadlifts, and squats. But Louis Simmons recognized that the same strength training methods could be utilized for powerlifting. And he created his conjugate strength training method, which not only used the Soviet training methods, but also the Bulgarian. And he has other training methods that he incorporated into the conjugate strength training method. And I highly recommend anyone who's seriously interested in learning how to become stronger to buy Louis Simmons' Westside Barbell Book of Methods, because they can be applied to any sport. And Louis Simmons trained football players and track stars, because the method can be used for more than just powerlifting. For instance, I'm using the conjugate strength training method to prepare for the United States Marine Corps pull-up challenge. And the reason why I'm using the Westside Barbell conjugate strength training method, because it has a common denominator that every home gym owner should want. That is an effective way to develop strength, endurance, and muscular size. The training method is for water polo, or for powerlifting, or Olympic weightlifting, or crossfitting, or anything else, as long as it works. It is a fact that if you keep doing the same exercises and the same exercise routine and utilize the same strength training method over and over and over again, eventually your body will reach a state called accommodation. And the accommodation will result in stagnation and slow or no progress, and even performance decreases, because your body will get accustomed to the exercise. And there's no need for the body to add more muscle or more mitochondria or more capillary density or more bone density if it can already handle the exercises and the exercise program and the strength training method that you employ. You have to change up by giving it new stress, by using new exercises, by using a different strength training method. That's why there is no optimal strength training method. You have to rotate. Tommy Kono, the greatest American weightlifter of all time, agreed with this. Louis Simmons, the godfather of powerlifting, agreed with this. You have to change, because if you don't, you'll get stale, you will stagnate, you will hit a plateau. And you know if you plateaued or not. Are your muscles getting bigger? Because if they're not, then your muscular growth has hit a plateau. If you can't do more repetitions for, say, pull-ups, for instance, then you've hit a plateau. If you can't lift more weight, you've hit a plateau. So to break through that plateau, you have to do things differently. And this is what Louis Simmons taught, that you have to rotate exercises. And there's many ways to do this. You can increase the load. You can increase the volumes and set. You can increase the velocity. You can change the distance of your hands when you grip the bar. You can use different exercises. You can use different exercises devices. You can change the way you do the same exercises. And this is what Louis Simmons and Westside Barbell Conjugate Strength Training Methods about. But Louis Simmons Conjugate Strength Training Method is not static, it's dynamic. And what I mean by that, it doesn't remain the same, but it changes. And Louis Simmons, like Bruce Lee, was searching for new training methods and new exercises, and a new way to do the same exercises to prevent muscular accommodation. And this is my Marcy PM 4400 home gym, which I purchased for $150. And I got 2 attachments with it, plus 300 pounds of Olympic weights from a retiree who was moving to Florida. And this is an outstanding home leverage gym. If you have an opportunity to buy one, I highly recommend that you do. But I can do bench presses here. And it has an incline feature. I can adjust the height. So I can do incline bench presses. I can do flat bench presses. And as you can see, it has different handles, so I can do close grip, or I can go wider. And this is one of the ways that Louis Simmons advocated, was changing your hand placement. And this is a flat bench, which I use to do slam ball bench presses with, because you don't need to use barbells to do a bench press. You can use a slam ball. It gives a different stress. And the good thing about doing a slam ball bench press is that you can do it safely, because if you go to exhaustion, you just roll it off you. The slam ball will hit the floor, but it won't damage the floor, it won't damage the slam ball, and most importantly, it won't damage you. And of course, I have dumbbells, but I can do bench presses with those. And I can also do bench presses with kettlebells, and I do. I can even do bench presses with sandbags. I have an adjustable bench where I can do bench presses with. It's different than my other benches. It gives me a different angle, and changing the angle is a good way to deal with the problem of accommodation. And I'm using the Power Block adjustable dumbbells, which gives a different feel when I do dumbbell training. I have a Soloflex, and I have it configured right now because I'm training for the United States Marine Corps Pull-Up Challenge to do pull downs. But I can also do bench presses here. And I have yet another bench by my Titan T3 half rack. And I'll do bench presses with that, using my hex dumbbells. And this is my Titan chest press machine, which I can do bench presses on. Even though I can already do bench presses with the Olympic weights and dumbbells and my Marcy PM 4400 home gym and on my SoloFlex. But when you do bench presses with the Titan chest press machine, it is different. And it's adjustable. I can adjust it. It goes up and down. It has different adjustable settings. But the point is, it gives a different stress. It's a different way to do bench presses. And I can also do bench presses here on my power rack. As you can see, this is a bench press device which I can attach to the bar, and I can do board presses with that. Even though it's not a board, it's really a bench block, but it has different settings. I can vary the range of motion that I do a bench press with, and this helps prevent muscular accommodation. And if I wanted to, I could do floor presses, which is just a variation of the bench press, except for you're not using the bench, you're using the floor. And I have different types of specialty bars to do bench presses with, like this multi-grip bar. There's a cambered bar back there. And I have other bars that I can use to do bench presses with. I do bench presses here. And like I said, no matter what method I choose, it has a different feel. It's at different heights. And changing the height and changing the angle and changing the way you do bench presses. Because there are many ways to do bench presses. I can use barbells. I can use kettlebell. I can use swing bags. I can use specialty bars. And I can use slam balls. So this is the bottom line. Everyone who exercises, if you utilize the same training methods and the same exercises, and even if that training method and that exercise is the optimal one, the best training method or the best training exercise, you will eventually reach the state of muscular accommodation where you will have no progress or slow progress and even performance decreases. Because there's no reason for your body to adapt any further if it can already handle the exercises and strength training method that you use. Louis Simmons recognized this, which is why he created the conjugate strength training method, which incorporates many different strength training methods. And Louis Simmons said that he was even thinking about using the Chinese Olympic weightlifting methods because of their accomplishments and at the Olympic and world weightlifting competitions. Because what matters is what works. And that to avoid muscular accommodation, you have to be willing to switch and to try different ways. And it can be done in a variety of means. It could be different exercises. It could be different devices that you use. It could be by increasing the time or shortening the time. It could be by adding bands and chains or weight releasers. It could be by changing the distance that you place your hands on a bar. There are many ways to change the way you do your exercises. And that's what this video is all about, is to at least make you aware that there is this state of muscular accommodation. It does exist, and you may already be in it. And if you are, then you should heed the advice of Louis Simmons and change the exercises, the way you do your exercises, and even try different strength training methods. Okay, that's all for this video. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications so you'll be notified when I create and upload more YouTube videos. And as always, thanks for watching.